I've got some thoughts I wanted to share about a new golf hat I recently bought, and I'm just going to go ahead and dive in. So, after spending years wearing baseball hats of one sort or another, like most players I see on the golf course, a couple years ago I decided I wanted something that gave a little more coverage, maybe some protection for the ears and other parts of the head. So, for the last couple of years, I've been wearing one of these boonie hats. Then a couple months ago, I was getting ready to head out to an outdoor event, and my wife said to me, "Hey, don't forget to take your dorky golf hat." Well, in that moment, yeah, it's time for a new golf hat. So as I was looking around, I noticed a few hats that I kind of liked from this company called American Hat Makers. Anyway, after looking into American Hat Makers, I really kind of liked what I was seeing. I mean, they've been around over 50 years, and they work out of a factory in the United States. They have this crazy 50-year warranty on their craftsmanship. And these people genuinely seem to be all about hats and not a whole lot else, and that really appealed to me. So I ended up settling on getting their hat that's called the Soaker, and it goes for right around $120. Okay, so I went ahead and put the hat back in the box just so I can kind of share the packaging that it comes in. As you can see, it's a pretty decent box. It's it's got their label on the tape and stuff like that, and it's well protected. It's it's kind of cool. Now it's not quite like unpacking an iPhone, but it is pretty nice still. So you got your tissue paper, there's my receipt, you got these extra sweatbands. I'll talk about those in a moment, and then a hat care instructions guide that has various stuff in there, and then we've got it's got this little brim support, or crown support I should say, there, and I'm going to put this on the ground and get it out of the way here, and go ahead and get this out of the plastic bag that it came in there, and there we have it. As you can see, it's a mesh construction, which was a selling point for me because I wanted to be able to wear this in the heat and still be cool. And I don't know, I think in the camera you can probably see my hand inside there, so the mesh is pretty good, and it's not really going to trap a whole lot of heat in there. There's going to be freedom of airflow on the underside of the brim, and on the crown. It's a fabric, and it's not a leather or suede. It's a polyester, and we'll get to why that's important in a little bit also. So I don't know how well it's going to show up on the camera, but see if I can get you a look at some of the stitching there. You can see that stitching on the brim a little bit. It looks pretty good to me. And then you got your stitching where the crown and the brim come together in there. So that looks pretty good. On the top, we've got this braided band that goes around the hat, and then the outer trim on the brim is matching, and it looks pretty sharp. And then on the back, we have the chin strap, which you just bring this down and poof, there it is. It's ready to go. And so something else that's important here that is worth spending some time on is the sweatband right here. Now this is Velcroed in, and the reason that that's important is this is how the hat can be adjusted for size. So these extra sweatbands that it has, and you can buy more of them when they wear out eventually. These sweatbands are of different thicknesses. They're all padded, and they've got different thicknesses to them. So if you get a hat and it's a little bit oversized, you can just take this out and you can put another one in. I think if undersized, you might be able to also. So in my case, though, adjusting it for fit out of the box really wasn't necessary. It fits my head pretty nicely with the default sweatband, and I like the snugness. Let me put this back on here, the chin strap. Anyway, I like the snugness of it. Feels pretty secure. I don't think I'm going to need to use the chin strap all that often unless it really gets windy. And it's very comfortable, and I like the look. So it's a pretty good hat, I think. It feels like a quality product. So I've only had it for a few weeks, but you know, I've doused it at least a dozen times. I've dunked it, I've dropped it, I've bumped it into walls or car doors or tree branches, whatever else. And at this point, you know, it seems unfazed. So, you know, given the warranty that American Hat Makers has and the refurbishment coverage that they're willing to sell, you know, 10 or 11 bucks, I think is what I paid for it. If they're that confident in it, and if that's the way it feels to me, it feels like a quality hat, I'm pretty sure I'm going to be wearing this for quite a long time. So, as I mentioned earlier, I primarily bought this hat for playing golf, and so far I've been very happy with it. It keeps my head cooler than any of my previous hats that I've worn. I mean, that makes sense because, I mean, with this with this mesh, there's, you know, not a lot of heat's going to be trapped underneath the crown of this thing. So I'm kind of digging it. So, but you see how it looks on me right here. How does it look in action on the golf course? Okay, so one last thing I want to cover. This hat is called the Soaker, and that's definitely one thing you can do with it for some extra help in dealing with some extreme heat. So you can dunk it like in a body of water, like maybe a river or a lake, or maybe you happen to have a handy ice cream bucket filled with water, and you know, you just dunk that baby in there, and then, you know, or alternately, if you want, great, get a bottle of water and douse that sucker. You know, you can, there you go. And then, you know, once it's, you know, maybe you don't want to, but you know, you can let it drip dry for a few moments, and then when you put this thing on for a while, it's going to give you the benefit of some evaporative cooling. Now, if you're not sure what evaporative cooling is, no worries, you can look it up. Think swamp cooler. So I did this when I was playing 18 holes the other day in high 90s temperatures that we had this past weekend, and I ended up dousing the hat 3 or 4 times from a couple of extra water bottles that I'd filled from the tap, and it was nice. So score 1 for the Soaker concept. And by the way, just in case it's not clear, be careful if you want to try this with other hats, because you probably wouldn't want to try the same thing on some other materials like leather or suede or straw, unless you have assurances from the manufacturer. Some of those materials, if it's not prepped for it somehow, they're probably going to shrink and ruin the hat, and you certainly don't want that. So in the interest of full disclosure, I think I need to share something about the hat that kind of let me down in the moment. I was wearing my spiffy new hat on the first round of golf I had played in it, and it was windy, but I had the chin strap on, so I wasn't worried about losing it. And I was playing a par 5. Now, I had gotten on in 3, and I was 22 feet from the pin. So I was looking at a pretty easy par with a chance for birdie. But mid-stroke, the chin strap dangled in front of my eyes. I flinched and blew it 12 feet past the hole. My possible birdie had turned into a 3-putt bogey. Now, clearly this hat was defective when it left the factory and required some corrective action. Bad hat. Bad hat. So I have to say that I haven't had a repeat of this, so clearly my approach to the problem was successful. Ow! Before I wrap this up, I'd like to share a brief PSA. So first, if you buy a nice hat, whether you buy it from American Hat Makers or some other hat company, consider buying directly from their website instead of buying it off of Amazon, if for no other reason to make sure that it's shipped in a proper hat box. There were a few reviews on Amazon where buyers were disappointed because their hat didn't ship in a proper hat box. It shipped in some standard Amazon shipping, and those Amazon plastic bag envelopes that are taped shut, that's fine for a bottle of shampoo or a charging cord or whatever, but shipping a hat like this in that hat's just going to get damaged in shipment. So for that reason, I went ahead and bought directly from American Hat Makers on their website, just to make sure that I wouldn't accidentally get something that was shipped incorrectly. Also, I think it's good to repeat a couple of things that are on the American Hat Makers website that they tell you. First of all, they have videos and written instructions for how to measure your hat size. So I'd be careful and follow those instructions. They're pretty simple, but they're a little bit of detail. And then, like they say, measure multiple times until you're getting a consistent result, because it's pretty easy to make a mistake, and you don't want to make a mistake and inadvertently order the wrong hat size. I mean, they do have a pretty no-nonsense and easy replacement policy for such a thing, but it's just best not to need it. And then also on the subject of hat size, if you measure and you find that you're between sizes, or you're not quite sure which one to get the larger of the two possibilities. The reason is, as you saw, those headbands or those sweatbands that they send, they can help adjust the size. It's easier to take a slightly oversized hat and get a really good fit with it with one of those. So there you have it. I think this is a really good hat. It's well worth the money I spent on it. I mean, I'd buy it again, knowing what I know now, and with no hesitation, and I think that's probably the best endorsement that I can certainly give. This thing is real comfortable, it's got good build quality, and from what I can tell, it's going to serve me for a long, long time. So with that, thanks a lot for watching, and goodbye.